Eric Stafford here with QUTV Sports, and we have Coach Bass with us here today. Coach, we're going to have you answer a few questions for us. What are some of your biggest aspects coming into this season? What do you expect from your players?
I think one of the biggest things we've talked about through and through, and it starts with chemistry. When you've got a lot of guys on a football team that got some experience in a kind of a strange year from a COVID standpoint, and then you get the year before that where you got a lot of guys that are getting redshirted in 2019, and then you got some guys that are in their third year and they're still redshirt freshmen on the field. So I think one of the biggest things is getting chemistry, getting reps, and giving them the ability to be able to play next to people consistently and get an opportunity to play. I mean, the more reps, the better right now, considering the fact that last fall we only got about nine practices. This past spring we only had 2.5 games roughly, and really weren't able to have a normal season from that end. So getting back to normal, allowing them to be able to play super fast and just get chemistry with each other is huge.
Okay. I seen Tion had a good first half last game. What did he do this summer to separate himself into having a good year?
I think one of the biggest things we wanted to do with him was change his throwing mechanics a little bit. We didn't do anything drastic, but Coach Bogey wanted to make sure we changed a few things. And I mean, yeah, you look at it, he plays a quarter and a half and throws for 290 yards.
Crazy.
If he had been able to stay in for the bulk of the entire game, I'd have loved to have seen what he'd been able to do for an entire game. But I think the biggest thing for him is to see how driven he's been. His hunger for the game and passion for everything is pretty cool. He's done a really good job just leading that offense and once stepping on the field, just being a playmaker and a guy that the kids know as soon as that ball touches his hands, he's got an opportunity to do something special with it. So that's pretty good.
I feel that. I was going to say, what are your goals for the rest of the season? How do you win and make a playoff run?
Well, biggest thing I talked to our guys about this year was layering our goals. I think a lot of times you hear people talk about championship or bust, and don't get me wrong, that's the ultimate goal. But I think, unfortunately, if that's the only goal that you start with, and then it gets to the point in time where that's unachievable, I think it's hard to lose drive and focus. So for us, we had 5. First and foremost was making sure we beat McKendree. I thought it was a big game for us. Win homecoming was another one that's huge. You got all the alums coming back. You got people from the university coming back. I think it's always important to win homecoming. One of the ones for us was have a winning record at home, which is always huge. If you win at the Rock, you got an opportunity to be a good football team. We got 7 home games this year. Another one for us was a winning record. I mean, one of the biggest things trying to change this football program is they've only had 5 winning seasons since 1993. So for us, trying to get to 6 and 5 or better, taking the next step in our program is huge. And then lastly, win a conference championship. For us to be able to do that, we're going to have to do all those things that I mentioned before. So I think layering our goals was something huge for our kids this year to gravitate towards more.
And then from last season during COVID, you all had to suspend the season. How was that for you all, like impact-wise, changing it up from playing football in the fall to playing football in the spring?
Miserable is probably the best way to explain it. Now it was kind of nice in the fact that in the fall I got an opportunity to be a dad more. We were recruiting. We didn't really have our normal season. We only had like 9 or 10 practices because of COVID in the fall, and it made us change and reevaluate things. I think the 2 good things about COVID that I tell people all the time, and I think they kind of look at me funny whenever I say good things about COVID. One, I think that people realizing that what you do is not who you are. I am a football coach. It's what I do. It's not who I am. I tell our players the same thing all the time. Like, playing football is what you do. It's not who you are. I tell them all the time, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a mentor, I'm a leader. There's so many other things that I am over that. And that doesn't devalue the sport, doesn't devalue what I want to be successful at, or neither does it for our kids. But for them, there's going to be life outside of football at some point in time in their life, and they've got to make sure that they've done the most with it. The second thing is, I think, as a coaching standpoint, it's forced you to think outside the box, whether it be visual, like the virtual meeting stuff we're having, or, you know what, less is sometimes more. I think sometimes coaches try to do too much.
I feel that. And what are you personally excited for the most about this season?
I think the first thing is getting back to as much normalcy as we can. That way our guys can enjoy college again. I think outside of that, getting to see a group of guys that have been together for 2 or 3 years for the most part and have the same goals and be driven in order for us to be successful. So.
Well, thank you, Coach Bass, for being on the show today. This is Eric Stafford with QUTV Sports.